when I was a teacher. I realized that children needed something beyond school to be able to access certain opportunities, and a library for me was an automatic answer. Very few communities in our country now have libraries for children where they have certain freedoms, and I wanted that to be available to kids who anyway were struggling with so many different things. So I came up with the idea of the library with an art center and sports included in about 2020 after quitting as a school teacher.
Before, we were not introduced to that many books like now. We had so many books available here, so we can pick any book and go read home. But before, we had few books which we were introduced, like like Charlie and Chocolate Factory and The Animal Farm. So we were interested in reading, but not that much. But since I came to the Next Page Library, I started working as a librarian. I started exploring books. So then the interest built, where I started reading books about The Alchemist and the To Kill a Mockingbird, and now currently I'm reading the Jaya. I also read the Mahabharata book of the child review version. So now it fascinates me and I like reading books.
I was a reader. I used to read. I have read like the Mahabharata in 4 versions, and then I was reading The Kite Runner, The Thousand Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, Bridge to Terabithia. So I used to read a lot, but because I was so stuck with my studies, my competitive exam and my NEET entrance, that I really lost the place ki what I wanted to do in life, the enjoyment that I forgot back there. So I started to explore myself when I came here.
We were lucky and unlucky to start right before the pandemic. So we opened up 2 months before the lockdown happened, and we didn't know if we would survive the lockdown. But I think we were a blessing in disguise for the children during that time. Kids had no school. Online classes in a community like Shivaji Nagar just does not make sense. It did not work. The lockdown itself did not make sense over here. So we were up and running within a couple of months of the lockdown, and kids just poured in. Like, we would have kids here all the time, and we averaged over 1,000 books lent out every month for the last 2 years. We average over 1,000 visitors a month. So great response. I mean, the kids love it. I think last week we had about 93 kids come in a single day to come in and read or borrow books. Kids love it, and we are more than happy to have as many as we can accommodate here.
I would like to first talk about the accessibility. Like in schools, we have our textbooks and all, but even if we have a library which is established, but we don't use it often. But having a library like this, where we are managing and we are encouraging kids to learn and helping at the same time when they are struggling somewhere, it's very helpful for them. Like, I have noticed a lot of kids when they first came here, they used to not know how to read certain stuffs, but later on, like how time passed, they started reading the words, they started understanding the sentences, and now they read fluently, which is an improvement in themselves. And whenever, it's not like a school system where they come and they're like, Didi ye nahi aata, Didi, they themselves come and they say like, Didi ye nahi aata, isko kaise use karna hai, ye kaha jayega. So that is very interesting, and it's very nice to help them. And second, when we are in a community like this, where we are taught from our parents and all, and we are in a closed mindset, where our parents teach us certain things and we learn that. But having a library gives us a point or a space where we can open our mindset and get known to new ideas. Like, we have a lot of books here talking about religion and other perspective, not only the perspective which our parents have or the community has, but getting and gaining a different perspective of our own while exploring the books.
When I started looking at libraries across Mumbai before I started the Next Page, I went through the records of whatever libraries are listed by the government or other organizations. There are very few libraries in Mumbai. There are lots of reading rooms and study centers. Lending libraries, particularly for storybooks and anything outside the syllabus, are barely there. The ones that do exist are for a certain, clientele which has a strong economic and financial backing. In communities like Shivaji Nagar or others like this, a library can be, the game changer for kids, especially given the way the country is right now with our demographic dividend, with the way, unemployment or, the job market is. Even looking at practical things like that, reading will set them apart. Besides that, just I think we are often the school system is built in such a way that kids do not get freedom to explore their creativity, do not get the freedom to explore their own interests and ideas, and it's taking away something from children, especially those who don't have other things to fall back on as well. So in particular communities, I think libraries are essential to bridge that gap where kids aren't getting what they deserve to have a happy childhood.
I think it's more of giving them an exposure. Just let them see what they have to. They'll ultimately figure out what they like, what they don't like. Because when kids come, we have divided the books in like animal stories, comics, and different varieties. There are some science books, there are some physics books, depending on the levels and categories. So the downstairs section is for kids, the upstairs is for adults. So I think it's more for them to explore and to learn. We can't tell a kid, beta, you need to read animals ki book. No, we can't. It's they who need to decide it. And I think the library was very important because you can't impart the learning for reading at an age like 20, 21, 19, 16. No, you can't. It needs to be developed from the basics only.
I would say find people who love books. I run a library because I love books. Like books changed my life. I think I believe in the power of books. I know there are so many people out there who do. And people are willing to give their time. People are willing to, give their expertise. The biggest problem in Mumbai, as everyone knows, is space. If there is a space for it, somebody will utilize it well. So it's about finding those people who believe in the power of books, giving them that opportunity to create something like this. And then I think following that, letting the community take over. So I know for a fact that, that this library will soon become organically part of the community. Because the kids who are reading right now, who are in 4th or 5th standard, will 5 years later, will be in college, 7 years later, will want to come in and, keep developing this area, this space. So I think the key for possibly doing this in other communities is finding people who love books or understand the power of books, giving them that infrastructure, and then seeing it grow organically. We do not have to have a blueprint that is photocopied everywhere, and then I think we can create that change.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.